Hello everyone, I'm Ankit and you're watching StudyIQ IAS English channel. Now multilateral bodies, they've always been important from UPSC perspective, particularly UPSC prelims exam. Because if you look at the PYQ, almost every year, more than one questions have appeared on these multilateral bodies and questions have often been asked based on the bodies that are in news. So today we are going to cover two important bodies, that is Financial Action Task Force or FATF and the International Monetary Fund or the IMF. But why are we actually covering these bodies today? Let me tell you the context of our today's discussion. Now, if you remember last week only, there was this very heinous and brutal terrorist attack that happened in Pahalgam in Jammu and Kashmir, where more than 24 people were shot in cold blood just because of their religion. Now, as a retaliatory measure against those who are responsible, that is Pakistan, India is conducting many different measures. First is a diplomatic measure that we have already seen. India has kept the Indus Water Treaty in abeyance and now it has implemented other diplomatic measures also. And it is also expected that India will take military attacks on Pakistani soil also. But in our today's discussion, we'll be covering some of the diplomatic measures that India is going to take now. Now, as a part of its escalatory matrix against Pakistan for the terrorist attack in Pahalgam, India is considering two specific moves which are aimed to curb the financial flows that Pakistan does in order to promote and fund terrorist activities in its neighboring countries, particularly India. What is India going to do? The first, it is going to make a concerted effort to try and bring Pakistan back into what is known as the grey list of the Financial Action Task Force. So naturally, we'll understand what is Financial Task Force, how can a country be enlisted in a grey list, and what are other kinds of lists, that is blacklist. And the second measure that India is going to take is that it is going to raise objections with the International Monetary Fund, which is continued its financing to Pakistan in form of $7 billion aid package so as to deal and help Pakistan to do away with its economic problems. But India feels that this money which the IMF is providing to Pakistan for its economic related activities, Pakistan is diverting these funds to support terrorist and nefarious activities in India. So India is going to take actions in these two bodies and therefore these two bodies become important from our today's discussion perspective. So let us start one by one understanding about these two bodies. We'll start with FATF. And if you want to download the notes for this session, these are available on my Telegram channel called as ATS Live. So you can search ATS Live on the top right hand corner of your app. Alternatively, you can also scan this QR code. This will also take you to the channel. Subscribe to it and you'll find the notes there. Now let us first deal with the Financial Action Task Force, FATF. Now this is an intergovernmental body. What does a body mean when it says intergovernmental body? That is, only the nation states in form of its government can become the members of FATF. And this body has developed, or it is responsible for developing standards which is necessary to prevent and combat the menaces of money laundering as well as terrorist financing. Understand? Now, headquarters of any multilateral organization also becomes important because we have seen questions have been asked about these particular fact. So, in that regard, FATF is headquartered in the capital city of France, that is Paris. Okay. Now, the background of this organization, that it was established back in 1989 during the G7 summit in Paris to develop policies against money laundering, because it has been found that controlling the flow of transfer of funds is particularly most important when it comes to dealing with other kinds of problems like organized crime and terrorism, because sending arms, ammunitions, explosives from one country to other can be quite difficult. So what these organizations who are involved in nefarious and antisocial activities, they usually send funds so as to promote terrorism in other countries. So that is why controlling the flow of funds becomes very important, and this is where FATF is quite effective. And if you look at the objective of this body, you will find that it establishes international standards and it develops and promotes policies both at national as well as international level so as to combat money laundering and terrorist financing. Understood? So it deals with standards that are implemented at both levels, at national level also and international level also. How does it implement it? I will tell you. Now, if you look at it, the members of FATF, it includes 40 countries, that is 38 countries and 2 organizations, which is European Union and the Gulf Cooperation Council. Now, all the major countries in the world, they are members of FATF, includes India, US, China, Saudi, UK, Germany, France. Now, here comes the question, is Pakistan the member of FATF? The answer is no. Pakistan is not the member of FATF. Rather, Pakistan is a member of a supporting group of FATF or an associated group of FATF known as Asia Pacific Group. So, Pakistan has to follow policies of Asia Pacific Group. And where does Asia Pacific Group brings its policies from? It brings its policies from the parent FATF, right? Now, India became the member of FATF not in the origin or when it started, rather in 2010. So, please remember these facts, okay? Now, let's see how does FATF punishes countries who do not follow its instructions regarding what standards or what kind of policy should they bring in order to prevent money laundering and terrorist financing. Now, suppose if a country is not bringing any changes in its legislation, or the country is not implementing those legislations, or if the judiciary of that country is not punishing people responsible for these crimes, then FATF includes these countries into what is known as grey list. Now, this is considered when a country has a weak anti-money laundering and counter-terrorism financing regime, be it legislative measures, be it executive measures, or be it judiciary-related measures, right? Now, whenever a country is included in the grey list, this serves as a warning signal, which means if the country still does not adhere to it, then the country will be put in a blacklist, right? So, putting any country into a grey list also is a somewhat brings that country into shame, okay? Now, let us understand what happens if a country is blacklisted. Now, this includes countries which are considered as safe havens for supporting money laundering and terrorist financing, right? Ideally, if you consider my opinion, Pakistan should have been put in blacklist, but due to many geopolitical and other circumstances, Pakistan has not been put into blacklist right now. Earlier, Pakistan was categorized into a grey listed country, but it followed certain kind of a standards that were proposed by FATF, then it was kept out of the grey list, right? Now, coming back to blacklist. Now, presently only 3 countries are there in blacklist, that is Iran, North Korea and Myanmar, and they are in blacklist, and these countries actually are shown or seen as a perpetrator for promoting money laundering and terrorist financing, right? Now, what are the implications if a country is put into a grey list? Now, suppose if a country is put into grey list, these countries faced increased monitoring by the FATF and other institutions which are important in this regard until they are removed from the grey list. And whenever there is an increased monitoring by other authorities, it automatically puts your foreign investment and capital flows which is coming from other countries negatively, which means it adversely impacts your foreign direct investment and capital flows, because businesses, they obviously would want to invest in a safe environment. They would want to invest in a country which has a stable polity, which has a good rule of law, right? So, if a country is listed in a grey list, that means that the FDI flows, foreign capital flows, will automatically be affected because businesses won't be looking to invest in these countries. So that is why it looks to punish a country economically, right? So this is the consequence if a country is posted in a grey list. Now, let's see what happens if a country is included in the blacklist. Now, if a country is included in blacklist like the ones Iran, North Korea and Myanmar, no financial help will be provided to these countries from international development and multilateral bodies like IMF, like World Bank, like Asian Development Bank, like European Union. Also, these countries, they face a number of international economic and financial restrictions and sanctions. So, you'll see businesses, they don't invest in North Korea, they don't invest in Iran, they don't invest in Myanmar, because otherwise they'll face sanctions from big countries in terms of their businesses potential, right? So, this is what happens if a country is put into blacklist. It is much more severe than compared to grey list. Grey list essentially means more monitoring. Blacklist means you will not be provided with any help or financial help, and you will not be able to trade with other countries, you will not be able to bring businesses into your countries, right? So this is the implication. Now, what is the process if India wants to get Pakistan into grey list? Now, to initiate the nomination process to put Pakistan into grey list, naturally India would have to seek support of other members of the FATF. Now, if India decides on this nomination process, it has to provide FATF with proof that suggests that Pakistan is indeed involved in financing terrorist activities. It is involved in promoting these terrorist activities in India. So considering all these evidences, this will be approved by what is known as plenary of the FATF. So what India will do, it will enlist support of other FATF members, then it will provide evidences of Pakistan involvement in funding terrorist activities to the FATF, and this nomination has to be approved by what is known as FATF plenary, which is a decision making authority of FATF, and this plenary, it meets at least 3 times every year, usually in the months of February, June and October. So India is expected to provide evidences of Pakistan involvement in terrorist activities in the month of June whenever the plenary meeting of the FATF happens. Understood? So this was FATF. Now let's take up the International Monetary Fund. Now this International Monetary Fund is a specialized agency of United Nations which was founded back in 1994 in the Bretton Woods Conference. So including World Bank, IMF is also called as the Bretton Woods Institution. Please remember this. Now the headquarters of IMF is in the capital city of US, that is Washington DC, and the member countries, it includes 190 members. So in terms of membership, IMF consists a large amount of members as compared to FATF. Now what IMF does, IMF grants loans to countries actually who are members of the IMF, and these countries might be facing problems relating to their balance of payment. So suppose if a country does not have adequate forex reserves so as to pay for its imports, then it can seek financial help from IMF, like Pakistan has done, like Sri Lanka had earlier done. Now this loan which is provided by IMF, it is extended into different categories. They might be called extended fund facility, they might be called rapid financing instrument, and they might be called as rapid credit facility. Pakistan has been extended loan under this category, that is extended fund facility, whereas Sri Lanka earlier in 2021 was extended loan under this rapid financing instrument and rapid credit facility. Please remember this. Okay. Other facts that you have to remember about IMF is the important reports and publications. One of the important reports and publication of IMF is known as World Economic Outlook, which is a biannual report, which means it is published once in 2 years, and it analyzes global economic trends and forecast. The other report by the IMF is known as Global Financial Stability Report, which focuses on global financial markets and assesses risks to the financial stability. So these are the 2 reports that you need to remember, and these are published by IMF. Why am I telling you these reports? I'll come to that quite soon. Now India is also considering to raise objections with the IMF, because if you remember in July 2024, when Pakistan was facing balance of payment crisis, it reached out to IMF to seek immediate funds, and IMF, it agreed for a 3-year loan which will amount to $7 billion aid to help Pakistan deal with the economic crisis. Now this loan will be extended over a 37-month long period in form of installments, and one installment will be provided to Pakistan only if it agrees and implements certain conditionalities which might have been imposed by IMF, right? So this is a 37-month long extended fund facility loan which is being provided to Pakistan by IMF, and it consists of 6 reviews over the life of 37 months. So 6 reviews will happen, and after one review, a chunk of fund will be provided to Pakistan. Total amount of financial support is amounting to $7 billion, right? So the release of next tranche of approximately $1 billion, which is expected to be given to Pakistan by IMF, it will be contingent upon the successes of performance review, which IMF conducts, reviewing whether or not Pakistan is implementing the conditions that the IMF had put. And then India is going to raise objections, citing that Pakistan is not using these monies to undertake economic recovery or support and subsidize its industry and other economic avenues. Rather, Pakistan is using this very money to promote nefarious activities and terrorist attacks. So India is going to formally raise an objection with the IMF that please don't provide Pakistan these kind of money because it is misusing this money. Understood? So that is why IMF become important. Now this question, it actually appeared in the 2014 prelims examination. Which of the following organization brings out the publication known as World Economic Outlook? We have already covered it. World Economic Outlook is published by IMF. What World Economic Outlook does? It is a biannual report analyzing global economic trends and forecast, right? Now deal with another question which appeared 2 years later in 2016. Global Financial Stability Report is prepared by which body? Again, International Monetary Fund, right? So this is why I am telling you IMF and other important multilateral bodies are important from exam, because straightforward a question is appearing. You just have to remember it. You'll be able to solve these questions. Easy 2 marks for you, right? Now let's see why this question appeared in 2022. Now I told you Sri Lanka sought loans from IMF to deal with balance of payment crisis in 2021, and these loans were extended by IMF to Sri Lanka under rapid financing instrument and rapid credit facility. So these are related obviously to International Monetary Fund, right? So this is why I was telling you important multilateral organizations are so important. Now that I've already taught you FATF, let's see if you are able to solve this question. I'll get out of your way. Please make sure to solve this question and answer me the correct answer in the comment section. And you can download the notes which is available on my Telegram channel ATS Live. Okay. So this is all from my side for today. I'll see you again. Please have a very good night.